What you have here on the Glycerin is a midsole that doesn't compress too much yet. Hey everyone, and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex, and in today's video we have a brand that we don't have very often on the channel, and I hope that will change. It's Brooks. Brooks is here with two shoes, and you can ask Alex, why on earth are you putting a road running shoe with a trail running shoe in the same review? There's a reason for that, and that's the midsole compound, the DNA Loft V3 Nitro-infused foam. That is the sort of common denominator for these two shoes. And I think it's a good way of comparing two shoes with the same midsole compound, but different rides, different purposes. They're in the same family of shoes, so that's the reason why. We have the Glycerin 20 here, daily trainer, I would say premium oriented daily trainer with a lot of cushion, lots of padding in the upper, lots of comfort, and a very good durability, I would say. And here we have the Caldera 6, that very nice little monster, very high stack height here in the heel and in the forefoot, and overall a funny looking shoe, I think. So two very different shoes. This one looks a bit more classic, traditional type of daily trainer, but two nice colorways. Let's give the stats for the two shoes, the specs for the two shoes, and then let's go a bit more in depth with the ride of each of them. Weight, we're looking at 333 grams here with the Glycerin 20 and 359 for the Caldera 6, a bit heavier. Drop, we're looking at 10 millimeters with the Glycerin, 34 in the heel, 24 in the forefoot, 10 millimeters drop. Very nice for a daily trainer, and Brooks knows how to get those higher drops in a nice way, in a nice geometry, and here it's one of these. Here we have 6 millimeters, 35 in the heel, 29 in the forefoot, 6 millimeters drop here. DNA V3 Nitro-infused foam, durometer scores 29 on the Glycerin and 31 on the Caldera, on the softer side of things, and I will let you know how that translates into the ride. Upper, I think the Glycerin upper is very surprising because you would expect something quite thick when you touch it, maybe not super breathable, and it's not the case. It's actually quite breathable, and surprisingly so, I would say, with overall a nice fit, secure, nice, nothing outstanding, nothing surprising, lots of padding here in the heel, providing with a very comfortable feeling. Brooks fits are known for being, very comfortable, very pleasant, very reassuring, and that's one of them. So good job, Brooks, with this one. The tongue is not gusseted, which is almost surprising given how good the lockdown is in the midfoot, but that's it for this upper. And again, I think the key message here is very breathable, and it doesn't look like it. So if you see it in the store and you're like, ooh, maybe this is not a shoe for me if I live in a region where temperatures are, mild and hotter than mild, it's actually breathable. Here on the Caldera, we have an upper I struggle a bit more with. The overlay here in the forefoot, sort of toe bumper, if you will, are providing with a very nice volume in the toe box. Good job here. However, the material of the upper, especially of the tongue, I think the tongue is a bit rigid, a bit stiff. It didn't really loosen up in the runs I have done with the shoe since I received it early August, mid-August. So the tongue doesn't provide you with the nicest feel on your feet, and that lowers a bit my rating of the upper. I think that the material itself in the forefoot and even here the padding in the heel are good. Maybe not as plush and as comfortable as here on the Glycerin, but the tongue really kills a bit that upper for me. And it's really the first thing you feel against the top of your feet is that tongue, and it's a bit so-so. Laces are okay on the two shoes, nothing to complain about, nothing to brag about. The two shoes have quite stout heel counters, as you can see here. On the stouter side of things, you can remove the insoles on the two for those of you wearing orthotics. The lacing system, I would say, is quite fun here on the Caldera. I don't think it maybe adds a bit to the lockdown here in the midfoot, but it doesn't change dramatically the whole thing. Midsole and ride of the two shoes. So the midsole compound is the same DNA Loft V3, used in two different ways because of the drop, the geometry, and also I would say that the flavors of the two are a bit different. What you have here on the Glycerin is a midsole that doesn't compress too much, yet makes you feel like it has quite some cushion to it, a bit of that dampening feeling, shock absorption, if you will, and a midsole that I would describe as almost you know, stepping into something you always knew. Like, it's an old friend you're meeting, and you never met him before, but yet it feels like an old friend. Do you think what I mean? That sort of feeling of very natural type of cushion, very natural type of rise. You can take the shoe, you're not a runner, and you take it as your first running shoe, works super well for you. You're a super experienced runner and it's your whatever number running shoe, 100th running shoe, it will work just as well as for that new runner. So this is really the strength of this shoe, I would say. That feeling it gives you of just forget about everything, go run, easy recovery, endurance. Endurance, I think, is the sweet spot here. I did a tempo session in it. It wasn't the best tempo session ever because of the heat, and that's on my side of issues. The shoe wasn't super guilty in the bad feeling. The session wouldn't have been amazing thanks to the shoe anyways, because it's not a tempo interval racing shoe. So endurance is the sweet spot here, but again, endurance with that feeling of knowing the shoe, not being surprised, not being taken by surprise in any way, shape or form, and that's quite pleasant. I had very high hopes for the Caldera because of that monster stack height, which looks even higher than it is because of the sidewalls. And I was thinking 6mm drop, it's my sweet spot. You know how much I love 6mm. Again, 35 in the heel, 29 in the forefoot. And I was a bit disappointed. It's stable, that's absolutely fine. It's capable, 100%. You can go the distance because of that stack height. It's leg saving. All of that is fine. I just thought that it didn't compress as much as I expected. It didn't dampen the vibrations, the leg pounding. And overall, you know, I was a bit in that dynamic of disappointment, which led to more disappointments. It started with that tongue and that fit, which is, again, okay, but nothing sensational. And the first thing you encounter is that tongue, quite stiff, quite rigid, and not super pleasant. And then you go into that midsole, which you expect to compress a bit more, and it doesn't. Again, you know, it's not like it's a bad shoe. It's actually not a bad shoe at all. It's just not what I expected. I expected something a bit more mushy, more contouring for the trails, that you would really have that feeling of, you know, the rocks getting in your way, and you just contouring them and working nicely on top of them, moving forward. This is not the case. You feel really like you're bumping onto the rocks, like you're bumping onto the terrain, and not really working with that terrain, if that makes sense. However, the grip is very, very good. It's a key feature of the shoe. The logs are 4mm deep, and you have plenty of them. The grip is really good. Nothing to complain there. It's a very stable ride. Again, it has that central groove, central alignment feature, which helps you align your foot strike and really be centered, stable. So that's absolutely fine. The width of the platform helps with that naturally, if you will. You know, and 160 euros, 180 euros, I think 180 is a bit steep here, to be honest. I think this one at 155, 160 would be a much better choice for what it gives you and for where it's placed against the competition. But let's say you want a premium daily trainer, and 180, why not? The 160 here is much better for what you get out of it, if that's what you expect. Again, really important, be mindful of, are you expecting that shoe, that ride, that it's almost like those, you know, 4x4 cars, Range Rover or whatever you want to call them, that just drive whatever the terrain may be. And this one will go through whatever you put it through. But don't expect something agile, don't expect something that will help you work with the terrain. It's really, you know, like a tank moving onto the battlefield, and that's it. This one is much more familiar and makes you feel like you've known the shoe and you've known how to run for 50+ years. That's it. So price-wise, this one is, I would say, better price than this. This for 160 would be a killer. However, this will be in my rotation for the next weeks as a daily trainer, because I like the ride and I like how disconnected I can be from, you know, overthinking about my running. I just put the shoes, go for a 10K easy run, endurance run, and I feel good about it. That's it, guys. If you want to get the shoes, you have Running Warehouse links in the US, and in the EU, just go on brooksrunning.com and it will redirect you to your region. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, and let's put maybe a video that I did last year about my favorite shoes in 2019 or 2020, I don't remember, where we had the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. That's why I'm thinking of this one. See you soon. Bye-bye.